One of the grounding poses that we'll practice today is Virabhadrasana 1, which is a Warrior 1 pose. So we'll start facing forward with our feet together. You will be standing, and then you'll step back with one foot, so it's like 3 or 4 feet back, so a pretty wide stance. And as you step back, our back foot is going to be at like a 45-degree angle this way. So instead of our back toes pointing straight forward, they're going to be pointed at this angle. And then once you step back, you can check and make sure that your heels are sort of in alignment. So your front heel might go straight back to your back heel, or they might be a little bit apart. That's fine. We just want to avoid having our stance be wide this way. So they might be hip width apart, or if you're a little bit more flexible in your hips, they might be one stacked right behind the other, your feet. And then we're pressing into the outer edge of our back foot, and we're grounding through all 4 corners of that foot. Our hip points, our hip bones, and our shoulders are both staying square towards the front. So instead of allowing our hips to open this way, we're going to keep both of our hip bones like headlights on a car, facing forward. And if you can't do that, then shorten your stance. So if you scoot your feet a little closer together, then that will allow you to keep your hips pointed forward. And then we also want to make sure that our low back is a little bit flat, so a little bit more of a cat spine, where we're rounding this way in our spine, and we want to avoid having our low back arched this way. So we want it tucked under, our tailbone tucked under. So we're here and forward, and then our front foot, having our weight evenly distributed between the front, like the base of your big toe, the outer side of that front, and then both sides of your heel. And then our hands can be either at our heart center or maybe all the way overhead. So if we're here, they might be overhead. And if your shoulders are tight, your arms might be out kind of like a Y. But if your shoulders allow you to, you could put your hands together over your head, rolling your shoulders down and back. So keeping our shoulder blades, pulling our shoulder blades together behind us and down. And then your gaze can either be straight ahead, keeping your head neutral, or you might look up between your hands or where your palms are meeting. And then just noticing where you're connected to the earth. So feeling yourself be grounded through the soles of your feet, and maybe noticing the texture or the warmth of whatever it is you're standing in. Maybe that's grass or carpeting or wherever it is. Just take a moment and breathe. And then you can lower your arms and step back forward. Give yourself a little shake out, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So start towards the front of your mat and step back with the opposite foot. Maybe. So step back with our opposite foot. So our back foot, our toes are pointed at this 45-degree angle forward. Our front foot, our toes are pointed directly in front of us. The other thing that I forgot to mention on the first side is our front knee is bent and our back leg is straight. So your front knee, you want your lower leg, this part, to be perpendicular to the ground, so to make a 90-degree angle with the ground. So not back here or not over here. We want this part to be 90 degrees. If you have the flexibility, your thigh might be parallel to the ground. So if you have a really wide stance, it might look like this. Mine does not. Right now my hips are open to the side, and we want our hips forward. So to do that, for instance, my stance is more like this. So my lower leg is perpendicular to the ground. My upper thigh is not parallel to the ground. yet. Someday it might be. And then checking that your hip bones and your shoulders are facing forward. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Pressing through that knife edge of our back foot, so that outer edge. And then maybe bringing our arms up and gazing up at the sky or the ceiling between our hands. And once again, just noticing where our weight is in our feet and trying to bring a nice balance so we're evenly distributing our weight between our front and our back legs. Then you can release your arms and shake it out. Another grounding pose that we're going to practice today is Balasana, which is child's pose, and it is a resting pose and a restorative pose. It's a place that you can go to anytime during a yoga class or just in your regular life where you just need a few moments of reset or quiet time. So to get there, you start kneeling with your big toes together, and then you can spread your knees out. So your knees are a little bit wider than hip width apart, and then you hinge forward from your hips and allow your torso to come all the way down to the earth. And your arms can be either stretched out in front of you with your palms down to the ground, or your arms can be at your side body. And if they're this way, then our palms are facing up to the sky. Once you hinge forward and you find a spot where your arms are comfortable, you may already be there, you can let your forehead rest on the earth. So I need to take my glasses off to do that. But then allow your body to melt into the earth and allow yourself to feel supported by the ground. So you can take a couple deep breaths here. If letting your forehead rest on the earth feels too intense, you can kind of make fists with your hand and you could stack them or just one and let your forehead rest on that instead. Or you could also just use a blanket or a pillow to achieve the same thing. So for our tree pose, we'll start with our feet together and then shift your weight, all of your weight into one foot so that you can pick your other foot up off the ground. And then really press into the foot that you're keeping on the ground. So you can have like a toe touch with that other foot, but press into that foot and at the same time feel like your hip being lifted out of the ground. And then the foot that's lifted, you're going to turn it out to the side so your knee is pointing, maybe it's all the way 90 degrees this way, or it might just be sort of that way. But we want our hip bones to both continue to face forward, so we don't want to let our pelvis shift. And then we also want to make sure that our low back is staying safe by keeping our tailbone tucked underneath us, so drawing your belly button in and up a little bit, engaging your core, and not letting our butt stick out behind us. So our tailbone stays tucked, turning your knee out, and you might stay right there. And hands could be at our hips, at our heart center, or if you want more balance, you could put your foot on the inside of your base leg, either on your calf or on your thigh, but making sure to not put it right next to our knee because putting stress on that joint can lead to injury. So picking your spot, and then once you're there, your hands might stay at heart center, or you might lift your arms up like tree branches. Let your shoulders relax. And balancing is a verb. So we're continually making all of these micro adjustments. So remembering that we're not doing it wrong if we are shifting or moving, or even if we fall all the way out of it. If we come out of the pose, we just get back in it again. That is why it's called yoga practice, because we are always practicing, always improving ourselves and getting better. And then lowering your arms, and slow and with control, letting your foot down. Maybe rolling out your tree trunk ankle that was stabilizing you, and then doing it on the other side. So bringing your weight into that foot, turning your other foot out to the side. Some of you might notice that one leg turns out to the side more on one leg than the other. And then finding where you are going to place your foot, again, not right next to your knee, but either on your calf or on your thigh. And then finding where you would like your hands, perhaps looking at a spot on the ground a body length or so in front of you, a drishti or focal point, to help you balance, something that is not moving. And if you want an extra challenge, try closing your eyes and notice how it gets more difficult. Pressing into the earth with our one rooted foot. So spreading our toes out and feeling our weight in the front and the back part of our foot, as well as on the outer edge and on the inner side. So noticing, like, you can press your foot into the ground different ways, trying to find a really even balancing spot. And then noticing if you're dumping all your weight into this leg so that your hip juts out, press into the earth and pull your hip towards the center of your body so that this line can be really straight and tall. And then, with as much control as you can, releasing it. The last pose that we're doing today is Savasana. It is a pose that often comes at the end of a yoga class. It's a pose that is complete and utter surrender or relaxation, releasing all of the tension or stress that your body is holding. At least that's the goal. It doesn't always happen. To get into it, we can start sitting with our legs bent and then lowering onto the ground all the way until the back of your head touches the earth. And then from there, you might shift your feet, and then you're going to lift your tailbone up off the ground and scoop your tailbone under so that your low back can be, it's not going to stay flat on the earth, because to do that we engage our core, but so that there's space for our low back, so just so that we're not kind of tipped up. And then you can also kind of press your elbows into the earth to scoot your shoulder blades up this way. So basically we're trying to lengthen or elongate our spine so that as much of our body can kind of rest. That was not a sentence. From here, and then your gaze, your eyes may be closed, or your gaze would be facing straight up, ideally. I'm looking this way so I can see. And then you can, one at a time, straighten your legs out and allow your legs to lay how they naturally do. So for many people, you can stay laying down. For many people, their legs will naturally be kind of this way with their toes pointed out. A few people might be here, but go ahead and let your legs just lay how they naturally do. And then find a comfortable place for your arms. So oftentimes that would be by your side body, not tight to it, but kind of fanned out, with our palms to the sky, which allows our chest to open, creates space for where our collarbones are, letting that expand. And once you're there, maybe closing your eyes. Noticing any spots in your body where you're still holding, where there's any effort. For me, a lot of times that's in my face, around my eyes, sometimes in my jaw. You can let your lower jaw open gently, Maybe make fists with your hands and then release them. And then spend a few moments just allowing yourself to be. Not having to think, not having to do, just being with your breath and with your body, feeling the earth and the ground holding you. Maybe noticing any thoughts or emotions as they come up, and then just allowing them to pass, returning your attention to your breath or to where your body is connected to the ground. And when you're ready, opening your eyes, maybe stretching your fingers and toes, and then gently turning onto one side, maybe pillowing your head with an arm, taking a few breaths to kind of come back to the place where you are, and then using your top hand to help yourself press off the earth and come up into a seat. Finding a comfortable seat. That might look different for you than it does for me, but however you are seated, find length in your spine, so reaching up through the crown of your head, feeling your sits bones grounding, rooting yourself to the earth, allowing your shoulders to relax, maybe looping them up and back. You can come back to our mudra with our 2 fingers extended and thumbs and pointing to the ground. Taking a deep inhale and exhale, and thanking yourself for taking this time out today, and thanking the earth for all of the beautiful nourishment that it provides. Namaste.